My name is Karl Olsen. I'm a senior here at Bethel and I'm an applied physics major as well as a math major, and I'm running track and field here. I first heard about Bethel, my cousin Danny had went here, and when I first started looking at schools I heard about his experience and he had a great time here. Really met some friends that became lifelong friends and just heard about that community, and so that's kind of how I heard about it. So then when I started looking at schools, I looked into Bethel, and when I came here I found that same thing. I love the community here, and I was looking for a school that had a good program in both the math and the physics, and so I was looking at Iowa State, Minnesota, and then Bethel were really kind of my last three, and just fell in love with the community here. They had the math and the physics programs, but loved the community here. My favorite memory at Bethel, that's a hard one, but one of my favorites probably comes from during my welcome week here. It was the Sunday of welcome week, and we had just finished Koinonia, and so I went with my freshman floor, saw Koinonia, and Koinonia is just a worship service that is really the first time the whole Bethel community comes together, and you get to hear some student testimonies, there's some worship, and then just some messages. And I remember just leaving that just feeling really excited just about the year, just like what is Jesus going to do just in my life and on this campus, and so super pumped just leaving there. But as we left Benson, it was just downpouring rain, just coming down, and I got back to Getch, my freshman resident, and one of my roommates, I don't remember if it was me asking him or him asking me, but it was just like, do you want to go run outside and just enjoy? And it was just like, yes, let's go. So we ran up to our room. I think I put on like a swimsuit, and we went and ran across campus and just started sliding down some of the hills and had a blast with that. And then we came back up to Freshman Hill, and that had just exploded. There was probably like 100 to 150 people outside just running around. And on the hill from the top of the west lot down to the SRC, there was basically a line forming of people just mudsliding down. So just person after person after person. And with that, you're just covered in mud. Even though it was still pouring rain, the mud was just sticking to you. So the question was, how do we get all this mud off of us? And it seemed like this almost like unanimous decision where the whole group just started going over to the Bethel River. And if you know Bethel's campus, there's not really a river on campus, it's more of a stream. But with the downpour, it had become a river. And so people were just jumping in there. And I just remember it was probably over waist deep, but you get in there and you kind of just push off your foot, the river would take you a little bit, push off again, it'd take you. And it was just a blast. And I remember at the very end of it, there was some bigger guys, I don't know if they were football players or not, but they were just sitting there because there's a tunnel that then goes into Lake Valentine, and they didn't want anyone to go in there just because that's dangerous. And they just stood there and made sure no one did. I just thought that was so cool. And so I ended up doing it like 3 times. It was a blast. But then we ran back to our dorm, and we heard a rumor that there was poison ivy in the lake. And so then we all run to the showers and are just scraping off. And no one ended up getting poison ivy or anything, but yeah, that experience was just kind of like the spiritual high and just hearing, getting this excited for just like what Jesus can do on campus, and then also just the spontaneousness of college. I feel like I'd heard so much about that going into it, and it was just like I experienced that all in the first week, and this is the day before classes started. So, well, actually there was a day off, but just about before classes started. One word to describe my team, I think I'd say supportive. I've had teammates that have had injuries that have lasted a week or even the whole season, and yet they still come to practice on a regular basis and try to do what they can just to support the team, whether that's taking times or just cheering. I've had teammates who, after I've ran a PR, they just come and like swarm me, and just that excitement to see them genuinely excited in my performance as well. And then I've had teammates who 1 week they're running in a big race, and then the next week someone else isn't for them, and so they didn't get to, but yet they're still the first ones cheering even though they need to run in that opportunity. So I think I'd say supportive, and just, yeah, living in that environment is sweet. I think it'd have to be something along the lines when you're just kind of goofing around with them or maybe joking about something that he can or cannot do. And so for example, if you told him that like one of the other coaches could beat him in a race, he'd probably do something like, no, and just like face goes back and just is completely into it. Just, yeah, that's probably my best impression of Coach Rock. If I think of a legacy that I would want to leave at Bethel, I think back to one of my teammates. He's on the cross country team but also runs on track. Tyler Bethke said it this way, and I just loved what he had to say. He said that if I could make a positive difference in just one or a few people's lives here, that would be a legacy worth living. And I just thought about that, and it's like if I could help someone to do maybe a little bit better in school, or maybe a little bit better on the track, or maybe just help someone just come to know Jesus just a little bit better, like that would be a legacy worth living.